In this video, I'm going to kitbash a Chaos Dwarf baggage train for Warhammer the Old World. The new match play guide for Warhammer the Old World has been previewed online, and some of the new rules for secondary objectives feature the humble baggage train. According to the new rules, a baggage train should be represented by a miniature diorama occupying a 60 by 100mm base. There aren't any current models for baggage trains, but the match play guide provides some converted examples for Dwarf and Empire armies. Baggage trains have appeared in Warhammer Fantasy Rules from time to time, and the website The Stuff of Legends has a great collection of carts and wagons that have appeared through the years. Check the link in the show notes for this page if you are looking for some inspiration for your own baggage train conversions. One of the standout features of a Chaos Dwarf army is their use of land trains. I knew I wanted my baggage train to be a train car that I could connect up to my previously converted Iron Demon war machine. I dug through my bits box for a bunch of parts that might be useful for a train car. Just like with my Iron Demon, I grab a bunch of Sector Mechanicus parts and some wheels that I cast from the Chaos Dwarf Hellcannon kit. See my other videos on how you can accomplish this. Sometimes these roughly cast parts require a bit of cleanup. My initial idea is to use this piece as the body of a tank car for transporting dangerous materials. This piece has already been assembled, but I don't need the whole thing, so I'll saw the end off with my hobby saw. I checked the alignment of this lid with the opening on one side. While a tank car might normally have the lid on top, I decided that this looks cool enough to keep going in this direction. In order to make the lid lie flat against the tank, I clip away these plastic ridges on the back of it and cut away any remaining plastic. Next, I clean up the sawed end of the tank using my mold line remover. I also shave away these numbers from this metal plate. Using some blue tack, I test the position of these girders on the underside of the tank. The girders will act as a chassis to hold the tank and the wheels. I line up some wheels to get a sense of how much space I have to work with. I cut the girders to an appropriate size and continue to line things up to test the fit. I decide to attach these hydraulic ends of the girders onto the tank lid. Applying some plastic glue to the lid and the tank, I attach the hatch in place, being careful to align it properly. After that, I remove some of the rivets on the bottom of the tank, so that I can add this ladder as another part of the undercarriage. When I am happy with the positioning, I glue it in place. The spacing isn't quite right for the hydraulic ends to fit snugly with this lid, so I cut up a plastic Q-tip to serve as rods, providing just a bit more width to make things line up. Then I glue the girders in place, and the bulk of the chassis is now complete. I again use some blue tack to test how the wheels will look when attached to the chassis. I note that the wheels are too close to the tank and are colliding with it. I'll need to add a bit of axle to the wheels to space them out. So I cut up this plastic cylinder that I have. Leave a funny comment if you know what this is. I test the spacing of the new axles and wheels using blue tack, and it looks pretty good. To help connect the wheels to the chassis and ensure the wheels are aligned and parallel to one another, I decide to use some epoxy. I would normally use green stuff for this, but I recently bought this fast cure epoxy while at Adepticon this year, and I want to try it out. It's supposed to harden in about 15 minutes, which seems pretty useful for conversions. The two parts of this epoxy come in this tube shape. Using protective gloves, I cut off a piece and begin mixing them. The epoxy is really sticky, however, and I think I'll be using latex gloves in the future when using this material. I ditch the gloves and be sure to wash my hands immediately after mixing the epoxy. I stick a bit of the epoxy in each axle and then attach the wheels to the chassis. The clay-like consistency allows me to align the wheels properly. When I am happy with the positioning, I lock them in place by covering the epoxy with some superglue and by spraying the superglue with an accelerant to instantly cure it. While the epoxy hardens, I superglue some cork to a 60 by 100 millimeter base. Since I want this baggage train to fit with my Iron Demon, I experiment with the positioning of the car on the base. At this point, I check some leftover epoxy to see if it is hardened, and it seems that it has. I decide to put these small wheels on the front of the tank car and add some extra axle to them as well. I dry fit them to see if they are lining up properly, and then glue them in place. I notice that the baggage train is a bit wobbly, so I trim the spikes on the middle of the wheels to help it sit flush on the base. I also trim this bit to act as a train car coupler, dry fit it, and then glue it into place. Next, I'll add these Chaos Shields as hubcaps to match with my Iron Demon. I want to use this Chaos Dwarf icon to cover the hole on the other side of the tank, but it's not sitting flush, so I put on some safety goggles and use my Dremel to file away these ridges. I love using my Dremel when I need to remove a bunch of plastic really quickly. It's a great hobby tool, and I highly recommend that you pick one up if you don't have one. The last detail I add is this small chimney, which I glue to the top of the tank. I like that the flared shape of the cylinder has a silhouette reminiscent of a tall Chaos Dwarf hat. And the baggage train is complete. I'm pretty happy with this piece. I decide that my Chaos Dwarfs use this tank car to transport hunted and captured demons for Chaos Dwarf demonsmiths to use in their arcane binding experiments. So basically this thing is like a Ghostbusters containment unit. So what kind of baggage train are you thinking of making for your army? I'd love to hear about your conversion ideas in the comments. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. We just crossed over 3,000 subscribers, so a big thanks to everyone who has subscribed so far. This is Xander's Arcane Study signing off.